rivalry was last played, I guess how do you talk to your players about what it means, and do you have anybody coming in to talk about it with the players, give speeches, et cetera?
You know, we gave a little background history today of, you know, where it's, all the way back to the border and what the border stood for in past history, and free states and slave states, and kind of went through the whole history where these two states have been competitive and not always agreed, and then went through when the first game was played and all the things that have gone on from there and where the series is at. Touched on what, you know, has been played in a while, and so I think they got a good understanding of some of that. I think there's more there. Even from coaches and staff, it was educational through this process. But the bottom line is we got to go play football. So, you know, possibly some outside former players or that still could be in play. But, you know, these games they can be intense. There's a lot of things about it make it special. To me, it's what makes college football special. But at the same time, it's still a matter about how you prepare, your focus, and everything you put into it, and then going out and executing on game day. It's not, you know, as I say, we always want to be an enthusiastic team and not an emotional team. Your emotions sometimes can take in directions that can be counterproductive sometimes. So I want to make sure that this team is well prepared and focused on playing their best football to date, because we're playing a very good football team. A team that's won 21 games over the last 2 years, got off to a very good start last Thursday, and it'll take our best football to date of this season to come out with a win, and our team understands that.
I guess from the football standpoint, what have you noticed about Missouri on tape?
Extremely talented. You can see they've done a great job since Coach Drinkwitz has been there as far as recruiting, balancing high school and portal players. They've added nice additions, you know, across the board. Height, size, speed, what you'd expect out of a competitive SEC team. The defensive ends are very, you know, it's an excellent defensive line, but the defensive ends are extremely twitchy and quick off the edge. You know, the size up front at the D tackle spot, they're still very athletic. So again, those things are always going to be challenging. Athletic linebackers. Trotter, young man, Trotter played at West Virginia last year. We played against him. Offensively, again, they've added a quality quarterback through the portal that is a dual threat guy. He's an excellent runner, was productive at Penn State in the role that they used him. An excellent running back with quickness and speed that transferred from Louisiana Monroe. Again, explosive receivers. They were able to create explosive plays last Thursday. All the things that, like I say, that you want a balanced football team to be, and they have that. And again, those are the challenges that we have to match.
After a couple games of rotating at those two offensive line spots, what have you seen from those positions and the guys taking part in them?
Well, first of all, offensively, last year I thought we were better interior-wise with our hands. We talked about that in here a lot last week. I thought, again, we were physical. I didn't think we had any holding penalties in the interior line. Last week, the holding calls were on the perimeter. Again, Amir and Baca both taking steps. Amir continues to play well. Enrique played both sides in the game and has played well. Nolan did a good job. So again, as we continue to work and keep guys fresh and have guys to rotate, we're pleased where that's at. It's not like we're sitting in a meeting, you know, trying to find out, you know, other options right now. We're pleased with the rotation that's there. And again, it was good to see some of the other guys get some opportunities for their futures and for our future line development.
And then just kind of a loose end from the last game. What was the situation with Graydon punting instead of Finn in the last game?
Yeah. Finn was just held. He had a tweak of something, and you know, again, he was limited today, so we'll see where that goes for the week.
Do you have an update on how Randall is doing?
He did not practice today. That's my update. Okay.
And also Jack Tanner is not.
Jack Tanner did not practice today as well. So they're not on the depth chart, so you can probably figure where that's trending for both.
When we talked to Trey after the game, he referenced listening to his teammates talk about their stories on Friday nights or the night before a game.
Yeah.
First of all, is that something you've done since you've been here? And what's the importance of
That
having
was
guys
more,
hear that?
I think we've alluded to something Chris Simpson does within his linebacker room, which he does, you know. We do a lot of probably self-stories or sharing it more in the off season, but Chris does a little bit more things at the hotel with his guys that he has, and again, I think we've always tried to develop you know, the understanding and respect and knowing a little bit more about someone's story. But that one, I think Chris does some really good things within his room, and he uses that Friday time at the hotel for that. And again, I think, you know, you've got, you know, Trey from Florida, and then, you know, you have Ezra Redmond from Wahoo, Nebraska, and Cole Mondy from right here in Lawrence, and everywhere in between, DeForest Stewart from Georgia. So you get a lot of different guys from a lot of different areas, and I think sometimes when you have a chance for them to understand that they're, you know, to maybe understand some of the differences, but also understand that there's more similarities than not in those stories.
And I know you do a lot of those types of talks in the off season, especially. How important are conversations like that when you have a whole new roster, and then now you go into an environment where being in a team oriented setting?
Well, again, with that many new guys, Michael, that is a good point, and we've tried to make that was always a concern. I'm sure it's a concern across the country in today's era, how you bring a team in a locker room together for respect and being one and playing for each other. That is something we have, I think I've said here before as well, is we feel strong about that it has come back to us about many of our portal players talk about differences, and one of the things they do talk about is the locker room, and that guys hang out and talk more, and some of that comes through some of these things in mutual respect and understanding.
And with Prabula at Missouri, obviously he was with Andy at Penn State. How do you go about the background checks on him and what he maybe did there? Do you talk to Andy, or what does that look like?
You know, I talked with Andy, spent some time with Andy this summer, and he just talked about that he's really outstanding young man and really handled a tough situation about entering the portal. Said I think he practiced the morning before he actually went in, which says a lot that it was a tough decision, and obviously the timelines of which we're under and this is difficult for teams like that. But you know, raved about him as a person, as a quarterback, and you can see that in a real extended period of time that he's a very good quarterback, and he's difficult to defend because he's a really good dual threat guy.
Obviously, playing in a difficult environment like Columbia, is there anything you guys do differently, or do anything to kind of stimulate that?
I can't say a ton of difference right now. You know, we practice with crowd noise quite often and things like that. We do it during fall camp. We try to create environments and stimulus to challenge our guys on communication and you know, being loud and trying to be that. You know, many times obviously that'll be increased or more frequent this week, especially being a first road game and it being a sellout, things like that. So you try to keep that in the forefront as you talk about those important things.
Lance, I was wanting to know if you've been out around town in the last few months and just noticed people ask you about this game or treat it a little different, just with KU fans.
Yeah, I've been asked about this game for a long time, John. It's been, you know, I was walking in here yesterday and somebody stopped me. My wife and I were at church yesterday and somebody wanted to talk about it. I didn't know that was the right time to really, somebody said, you know, kick their butt, but didn't say butt, and it was in church. I didn't really think it was appropriate, but so, I mean, yeah, you can tell it's picked up, it seems, ever since, you know, like I said, whether it be through the summertime, whatever, it's, you know, you try to push it off until it's the game week. I guess now we got to address it, right? And ready to go. And it's, you can tell people are excited, and it's good. And like I said earlier, I think that's what makes college football what it is, and things like this. And you know, but again, wanting to be done the right way, and we believe in doing things the right way, and competing hard on the field, and you know, have it settled there, not in the parking lot or in the stands or all those different things that may happen at times. We want to make sure that we're at our best when our best is needed.
Lance, you were at Whitewater the last time this was going down, and when Mizzou left for the SEC, and obviously realignment was happening everywhere. Did it register with you what was happening around the country at that time with these types of rivalries? I'm sure you weren't super well versed on any of it.
Probably not. Not to the extent. You know, I heard about this rivalry when I got the job. You know, early that, you know, then it was coming back on the schedule and things like that. When I worked at Nebraska, we played down there and stuff, so I've been able to see the, you know, they have a good environment there for their home team. But yeah, probably not as much the first time like a Missouri or a Nebraska leading the conference as much as probably seeing it this time when Texas and Oklahoma left, and probably being here to really understand some of those different things. But that was probably some of the first steps of this realignment, was probably back around then.
And the other night, Jalen said that Devin Neal left him with a pretty long list of what this rivalry is all about. Educated him, gave him the you know, California boy, all that stuff. How much does that help?
Yeah.
I mean, from those former guys, and obviously you just mentioned maybe you'll have some guys come in this week, but guys that this group actually played with, to hear it from them.
And for, you know, for the game not being played for a while, for a young man like Devin, who's still pretty young, to understand that at his age. Devin did ask if he could come back and play this game. He said it to me walking off the field Friday night, that he goes, I'll even come back as a walk-on. So appreciated that. But yeah, it's important. It's important to understand some of those things and have some of those feelings and understanding. But to know that, though, it's, you know, you hope it just intensifies one's preparation and the things they have to go through, because once the ball is kicked off, you have to go out and play, and there's things that have to be done and executed with precision and effort and strain and physicality, just like it does each and every other week. But I'm sure that any of those extra boosts along the way, our guys will take, you know, and take seriously.
On the linebacker front, I know we talked a little about John, but heading into this season, what were your goals for him? And we think about when he showed up on campus 12 months ago versus now, like how much have you really seen him progress?
Well, John's progressed as maybe as much as any guy in this program, and he's just starting to scratch the surface of how good he could be. If you ever can find, you guys find all that stuff anyway, but through the past, if you ever look at a picture of him when he was in 9th grade to what he looks like now, to where he continues to develop, or I should say 9th grade to a senior year of high school, a guy that was more of a corner and a safety, and he keeps moving closer to the ball. He continues to progress, and things that maybe weren't completely natural to him, he's worked extremely hard on, so it has been. It was disappointing that he only had about 11 snaps in the game, because it was really an opportunity with Bengali out for him to really get more work, and that was probably one of the more disappointments of the game. It's unfortunate, but again, he needs to be a key special teams player for us. He needs to be ready to play his most football in his career on Saturday, and I know he'll prepare to do so.
And going to the offensive side of the ball, with Le'Shawn and Daniel, the combination that they could have, obviously Le'Shawn didn't play on Saturday, but for Friday, what do you hope they can bring you in games like this that are on the road, when you talk a lot about wanting to take the air out of the crowd?
Well, like I said, I think both are physical runners, and games like this, there's going to be tough yards to get to keep the sticks moving, and I think both backs can be physical and productive in these type of situations, and that's what we're going to need from them. We're going to need them both healthy, and Le'Shawn did do some stuff today, so we do anticipate him being available. But yeah, those are the things I think they both have shown their abilities with vision, quickness, power, speed that we want from our backs, and they'll be a big part of Saturday.
Anything else, Coach Leipold? All right, thanks
Thank
so
you,
much.
everyone.
Thanks.